Good morning.
Good morning.
So excited to have Sonia Thomas back.
I'm turning up my volume. Wait a minute. Can you hear me, John?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Doing well. I was just telling the crowd, so glad to have you back. It's not the same doing a one-man show, and Sonia brings the heat too, and so it's like the tag team duo. So I feel good. I feel good.
Hey, it's great to be back. I need a little rest, and I needed to reset. So, thanks to the team. Shout out to the team for holding it down. I didn't lose any sleep as far as what needed to happen on a day-to-day basis. So, shout out to your leadership, and shout out to the team for continuing to ignite the movement.
Yep. Last week we had Thomas Driver and Cliff Maya. I was introducing them as our two new organizers, and they did a really good job. We had some good discussions. The week before it, I was solo dolo. I think we lasted about 30, 35 minutes, but we had some really good discussions. So, yep, in your absence, the journey continues. But how was your vacation?
My vacation was good. I got some rest. I slept a lot, but also was able to invest in my vision for some things, some ideas, and it's just always, it's just always good to get some rest so we can think clearly. And it was good to, spend some time with my family. I had a child that had surgery, so just taking time to make sure that she was okay, and just get some bills paid and a little cleaning around the house done.
And guys, as we get started, feel free to start sharing this out to your networks. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today, T and Ready test is coming up soon. We're going to talk about how do parents feel on back to school. We're going to talk about summer school. Summer school used to be every year, and in years past has been kind of hit or miss. But this year they're coming back and they're calling it Promising Scholars. So we'll talk about when it starts. We'll talk about the May deadline. We'll also talk about the equity roadmap that the district is putting together. And then we just really want to hear from you guys on how school is going. We know a lot of families are still virtual. We know the other half is in school. And so it's going to be interesting to hear from you. We'll hear from some of our alumni. I know our cohort 8, current cohort 8 fellowship is jumping on, but we also look forward to hearing from some of our faithful Wednesday Access Denied listeners and engagers.
Yes, and so I am sharing now. So everybody come on here. I see people are starting to join. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this wonderful weather. We got some hot stuff we need to talk about. We got some business to take care of.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm doing my little share too.
I see y'all coming on in here. Hey, Joyce. Hey, Candace. Hey, Victoria. Charlie Robinson. That's a new name. I hadn't seen that. Welcome, Charlie. Charlie, let me tell you what this is all about. This is our Access Denied show that we host weekly at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here on our Facebook and our Twitter. We want you to like and want you to share. Our Access Denied show is for parents and grandparents to talk about the issues that we care the most about. See, everybody else got their shows, right? They got, Oprah got her show, and Robin Lake had hers, and Jerry Springer even had his, right? But we got our own show. This is led by parents and it's for parents. We need our own stuff. And there's nothing like parents who will demand better. So our mission, I want to tell you what our mission is, Charlie, and anybody else that's joined us. Cheryl, hey Cheryl, our mission is to organize and develop parents into powerful parent leaders. We're igniting a movement that demands equitable education policies and practices, and that's what we're gonna do, damn it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Charlie Robinson, Charlie has been a warrior. He say, he's watched Access Denied before, but Charlie and I have been through some good battles on behalf of kids in education. And then I reconnected with Charlie out of the blue. We did when school was still in last year. We did a Donuts for Dads event, and Charlie was right there, so we got a chance to connect back. And so, yeah, Charlie is a soldier for the children.
All right, Charlie, that's what I'm talking about. We're igniting the movement, Charlie. We are not a parent advocacy group. Let's talk about that for 1 second. Let's talk about the difference, because we want to make sure we educate parents, and we want the community to know just what we do. We are a movement. See, advocacy is about one by one. We are a collective movement of parents. I think the system wants us to go one by one. Call me if you want, if you're having a problem with your child. Send me one email. And that's how they pick us off and they get us tired. And I know you guys are out there fighting for your children, and some of you guys are tired. We've been there. John and I have been there.
Yeah.
But we learned something. We learned how to advocate more effectively and efficiently. And we want to teach parents how to do so. So thank you for allowing me to explain that, John.
And Sonia, tell me what we want to talk about today, because again, like things that are coming up, it's really important. I know we got prom and graduation, and that's going to be really exciting, because I think they're allowing some of the kids to actually walk across the stage. I know some schools are doing prom in person, but also, as we think about the learning loss, we got TN Ready that's coming up. We have the summer program, the Promising Scholars, coming up. And then, of course, we got a couple of more things, but we also got the equity roadmap as we think about what the district talked about last night, and the student dashboard, the personalized learning plans, the behavior, the literacy. So there's a lot to unpack on there as well. So what are some of the things you want to jump right into first?
I think we need to jump into first things first that's coming up. So when we look at calendar wise, there's a few things that are coming up that you must be aware of. And the first thing is Tennessee Ready. Now, we've heard from many people giving their view about it. Those of privilege say sometimes that the metrics or the data, it's wrong. They only say that when it works out for them. Let me tell you something about this Tennessee Ready assessment. It's very important that your children are assessed so that we can put together a plan to recover them. And so we must hold the leaders from the state and the districts' feet to the ground to make sure that they provide evidence, the receipts of what they're doing. Got all this money flowing. We're going to talk about that too. We got all this money. We've got all this great conversation about ideas, but what we don't have is a plan and goals and dates and methods to measure these plans and this progress outcomes. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk, like John said, about school board meeting last night to kind of update you on that. So I think that those are the hot topics, John. You very well said about what the conversation needs to be today.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about TN Ready. I think as I read the news and I pay attention and I listen to parents, the state legislature, when they had the special session in January, said we will hold districts, hold them harmless based on their academic growth if they have at least 80% of their students show up to actually take the test in person. And so as we get closer and closer, as we heard from parents here last week, a lot of parents are still skeptical or reluctant to send it back. And I know we have a message because we want to see the data. Like, in order to really grow, we got to see where our students are. Before, in my opinion, before the pandemic,
do I need to wipe my mouth?
Yeah, actually, you have some right there.
Before we were out of school, it was bad. And so as we have gone, a year now with some families being out of school, I think it's really important that we just get to see where our kids are. Like, I want to see where my son is in reading. I want to see where he is in math and science, because I know especially math. Those are some of the things he was struggling in. And so I wanted to ask parents also, like, how do you feel about the TN Ready? Like, how do you feel about sending your kid back to school? How do you feel about understanding where they are academically right now? And is that important?
So guys, I must warn you, I am doing two things at once. I'm very transparent. So I'm actually getting photos taken at this moment while I'm trying to talk to y'all. So I had to say, wait a minute now, do I have lipstick all over my face? So I don't want to be looking like no damn clown. Okay. Y'all know what's up. Y'all my people. I can be transparent with you and tell you what's going on. I can be vulnerable to y'all. But John asked me the question again because I was talking to the photographer.
Yeah, so we've been thinking about TN Ready, and Kimberly White jumps in. She was like, "This is what I have to say about TN Ready. You have some schools that are more worried about what kids are wearing than are kids informed about the test." And so that's an issue I want to unpack, Kim, because I got a couple calls about that. But we're asking, right? 80% of the students have to be there to take the test in person to be held harmless on the academic part. What I was saying, what I want to see personally, I want to see every student take the test because we need to realize where the student is academically. What have they learned? What have they lost over this past time we've been virtual? So we can really assess and make plans to eliminate the learning loss. But I think they got to take the test. And Kim says a big thing that's been going on. Some kids, if you come to take the test, they want the kids in uniform, which a lot of us disagree. Like, we just want the kids to take the test. And so that's been a big frustration, not even getting the kids, because a lot of parents don't know you need to send your kid back if they are virtual. And so we dealing with a whole lot of issues.
I'm going to be real. I don't have no uniforms.
Yep.
We've been out of school all year. My son's pants are probably culottes or capris. I don't even know if he can wear his shirts.
Mm-hmm.
The boy ain't put no shoes on all year.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna be up in that test, and they better tell him that he can't be up in there if he's wearing what he can wear.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Macy, Bennett, and Liberty. Yeah, sorry, that's my girl, and I'm sure they're understanding. But that's but I want to throw the question on you, John. You asked a very relevant question a few months ago on Disrupt This Mantle. You said that 80% of the students must be in attendance in order for it to count. Ask the question, John. Ask my favorite question. Is this?
Oh, yeah. Is this a coincidence or is it intentional with the 80%?
Is this, say it again, I don't want to get your quote wrong.
Is it a coincidence that they made this policy or is it intentional that they made this policy?
I want to answer that question. Anytime you get into the weeds like that, there was some intentionality on you coming up with that percentage. See, they don't come up with no percentage right now. What percentage of children are y'all gonna recover from learning loss?
Right.
How many of these children are you going to recover from learning loss? Give me them numbers.
And Gene Jones, cohort 2 throwback 2019 is on here. Gene is saying intentional. Candace is saying the school is going to have too many folks in a room breathing the same air while they're worrying about uniforms. Kim says exactly, Sonia, she refused to go buy any, and Walmart ain't selling them.
Ain't none. But guess what? I want to impress upon you, each and every last one of you, mask your children up. The schools, for the most part, do have a plan for whether or not how they can accommodate the children. My school in particular did a survey, wanting to know if the child was going to be there. We got to respond to these things so that we can hold them accountable. They did ask. So to make sure you're responding and letting them know that you're going to be there so that they can make the accommodations. That's their problem. They are accountable for making sure that the ventilation is good, that the kids have a mask, that they're spread out 6 feet. Don't you worry about that. This is what I need y'all to worry about. Making sure that you get your child there to take that Tennessee Ready so you can know where your child is. You need a receipt. Folk been getting paychecks since August. Teaching class, whether it's virtual or in person. We need to know what these kids been taught. We need to know if what they've been taught has moved the needle, has helped them and progressed them, or have they regressed. You have got to know that like the back of your hand. You have to get them in there. There is a movement. There is a movement keep you from getting your children tested. I thought about this last night. The majority of the children who are in person are not Black and brown children who will be taking those tests. Those tests could possibly show that things are better in the district, and it'll be a damn lie because you're not showing up and putting your kids in there getting tested. Our children always have been behind because they have not received a quality education. And so you don't take them and get the receipt and you don't tell the story. Somebody else will tell it for you. Them Tennessee Ready scores would look higher than what they are, and they'll say there's no learning loss. Damn lie. Sign your children up. Yep. You shouldn't be ashamed of where your child is right now. That's like having a disease and being afraid to go get yourself checked out only to wait and procrastinate, and then you die because you didn't go get checked out, and you could have gotten checked out and could have stopped prostate cancer.
Right.
Go take your children. Don't listen to the narrative. Mask your children up. Get them scheduled to get their testing done, whether they're in public charter or whether they're in traditional. Get your children there. They won't accommodate your children. Yes, they will accommodate your child. Take your child to the school and tell them you need a para. If they don't do it, call the police. 862-8600. Tell them to come up there. File a police report.
Yeah.
They're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law. So I'm
sorry, I don't care what they won't do. They will do.
Yeah.
Take your child up there. If your child needs a para, don't you move out of there. Call me. I'll shut this thing down.
And I'm gonna add on to that. I think even with they can say it's been pretty rough for the schools this year, just as well as been rough for the families, but not being able to accommodate with the resources that we have that have come in just for these accommodations don't make sense. And so I think Candace was the one that said, yep, Ms. Brewington said they want to accommodate, but we have gotten additional resources from the stimulus package to help accommodate those needs. You know, those are not reoccurring funds, but for this year coming out of a pandemic, that's what it's for, to make sure that we accommodate our kids and make sure we're testing them and then making sure we're putting together a plan to recover learning loss. And this is not even including the money from the state that was talking about learning loss. And so there's a lot of money for accommodation, Ms. Brewington. So when she says call the police, like it's time, like, to hold people accountable.
Dear MNPS, if we find out you are not accommodating the children, dear Metro Police Department, you will be summoned to these schools because they are breaking the law, and we want a police report.
Yep.
Call it radical if you want to, but our children are dying out here. And we're not returning to business as usual, and we're not taking your fluff and your buff from nobody. So parents, the idea is to get you frustrated to say they won't do it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as old folk used to say.
Yes, and Stephanie says testing is so important. It's the law. If students have IEPs, they must accommodate. Like, this is textbook classic. They got to accommodate, especially when we have the resources.
So when we don't do something that the law requires, what happens to us, John?
We go to jail. Some
of us get life sentences. and fines and felonies. It's time to start returning the favor.
Mm-hmm. And Sonia, you say something all the time, like one is something, but two is a trend. And when we think about testing, right, I had to think about it myself. Like, have we had a lot of messaging around making sure kids come and take the test? And Kimberly White says they had informational sessions about the test. Only 15 parents showed up. All the virtual third and fourth graders, but they were not worried about informing the parents of the test date and the details.
This is the thing. John, I'm going to ask you the question. I want you to say it again. I want you to ask the question.
Yep.
Is it? Ask
Yep.
the question again, John.
So around this testing, as we think about T and Ready, something that we have talked about for 365 days, not informing parents and parents not really knowing about the test, that it needs to be in person. Is this a coincidence where it's like whoop-de-doo is something that we forgot? Or is it intentional where it's like we need to make sure parents don't know about bringing their kids to take the test?
So again, I'm going to answer it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you why. When we really want something, everybody under the sound of my voice, you get it. I don't care what it is. I was on a diet and I wanted a cookie. And my kids was trying to, help me with my cookies. And I got mad. I said, bring me a cookie. Because I wanted it. At that time, I didn't care about being fat. I wanted my cookie. And I demanded my cookie. And I got so loud and so squeaky, they went and got me 3 cookies. Now, what I'm saying to you, so I got to bring it to y'all. If folk really want y'all to take that test, they be squeaky. You always have to ask the question. It's not what people say to you. It's what they don't tell you. It's what they're not emphasizing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to say, well, why? If this is so important, if this is the only way that any of us know how children are doing, this is the only way statewide to know where children are. It's the only way to hold school districts accountable. It's called accountability. The data is called accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have it, how can you hold people accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Call your friends, call your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your mothers, your fathers, your aunties. You call everybody you know and say, get your children there to take Tennessee Ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm gonna get on y'all. Now I'm coming down your street. Y'all done took them everywhere else. Now this Auntie Sonia. This Auntie Sonia, you done took them everywhere else. Haven't you? Sure have. Take them to them schools. Mask them up. Sanitize their hands for 2 hours, for 2 days. And get them tested. Get them assessed. So you know where they are. Jordan said she said they are registered. Mine too. Next week.
Mm-hmm.
They even providing transportation. I'm gonna take mine because I'm gonna make sure he ain't late.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there early. He gonna have breakfast in his belly. They even offering breakfast at the school. If you haven't signed up yet, don't you let nobody tell you it's too late either. Take your child up there. Call them today. I missed the sign up. I changed my mind. When we don't have a choice, we die. You should have a choice to change your mind. We run this school district. This school district belongs to children and parents. We run this.
Yeah. And let's move into that. Like TN Ready, it's coming, right? And TN Ready, by the time we reach May, TN Ready will be over. And then we'll be getting ready, as you just talked about, Sonia, summer school. And one thing, we did the video a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the promising scholars. One thing I didn't realize when the deadline is, and the deadline is going to be May the 5th. And we'll put some information out. But the Promising Scholars is a summer program. I think what we read is at about 70 schools. It's an interactive map I think you can sign your kids up on the website. We'll put the website in the comments before the end. But what are you guys thinking about? Like, as you think about summer programming, like what's going on? Like, are you still sending your kids to the regular summer program they may do, like a summer camp? Are they going to just stay home because of COVID? Or are you thinking of sending them to summer school, or a combination of all three?
You asking me?
Yeah, and I'm asking the audience too. Okay, so somebody said the test is not required now to get into middle school, so why subject the kids to the test if it's not required for middle school? Schools were not open all year for a test. Why didn't we just open the school completely and not remotely? Got it. That was a lot.
Okay, rain, more rain. Why are they not educating our children? How do you know they're educating your child? How do you know what your child is getting compared to students in their school, in this district, and across the state and across this country?
Mm-hmm.
Question everything and everybody, and there you find the truth. It is the only way to hold somebody accountable. We have no other way. All we can do is go on the word of folk who have given us hope, word of folk who have literacy proficiency tests in the teens. So ask yourself that question.
Yeah. And I don't think people realize like how detrimental education has been in Black, brown, and poor communities. How we have just met tons of people who look great, who have good jobs, like mid-range jobs, and they talk about how they were not taught how to read. They talk about how they really didn't even graduate high school. And then you look at where we are as Nashville. You look at how fast Nashville is moving to growth. I just read some in the newspaper. They about to bring a $1.2 billion development to downtown Nashville. I think they call it River North. So wherever River North is going to be, it's a whole new community they're creating for $1.2 billion. And so as Nashville moves forward, since desegregation, kids in Nashville have been left behind.
I want to impress upon people that all of this funding is coming across the district. And if you don't send your kids to the summer tutoring, a summer program, why even send them to the school in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking a question because you're paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
You have a right to this. Your child deserves this. And if we don't utilize it, why? Mm-hmm. Why not hold people's feet to the fire? Why not know where your child is and hold people accountable? Mm-hmm. If we're not going to do it, close all the schools down, every last one of them. Mm-hmm. Why do we send our children to school in the first place? If nothing else, they should be teaching them how to read.
Yeah. And I think Ryan is trying to understand this. Not Ryan, Ryan, I'm sorry, Ms. Moore, says he goes to a charter school and his class is finished by 12:30. I don't think that's good enough.
And that's why you got to hold them accountable.
That's what I was going to say.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. It ain't good enough. Yep. Low expectations. Put them expectations up.
Yep.
Pull them up. I'm sorry.
But I think Rain is getting an understanding on how things are going, and I think she's seeing feedback and comments. But I appreciate her for being open and transparent on how she feels, and having this dialogue, because it's really about accountability, Ms. Moore. If it's not getting it at a school, we don't care what school it is. If it's a traditional school, an academic magnet, a public charter, a private school, Like
anybody can get it.
Anybody can get it. And so we're going to be reaching out to you once this is over. So be on the lookout. I'm going to send you a message in your inbox because that's the partnership that we do on Access Denied. We created this show because access was being denied, still is being denied to many families. And we're going to knock on the door and ask them to open the door nicely, or we're going to kick it in. And so, yeah, let us know if you want to be on the SWAT team.
Like it's about expectations here.
Mm-hmm.
We have expectations that our children will be educated, they'll be inspired, that they will be looked as visions, that they will go to school and be able to come out of school career ready, college ready, and successful. And so what are we doing here if we don't hold these people accountable for so long?
Mm-hmm.
We feel hopeless and helpless, and like that we have no say so. A school that goes to school all day, they get out at 12:30, and you don't feel like they're getting what they're supposed to get. Why are we not busting doors down about that?
Mm-hmm.
But I do understand, as an individual parent, we feel hopeless and we feel helpless, and I sympathize and empathize with that. But that's why we're building a movement.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to have a movement of parents, because together, see, I often use the example of S-team meetings. When you go in these meetings with the school, it's 6 of them and 1 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. And so they're talking at you, even talking for you in those meetings.
This is what you want, right? This is what you want, Sonya.
What's that?
And then you just say, yeah, that's what I want. And
yeah. Oh, yeah, we gonna do it. Ain't wrote nothing down.
Mm-hmm.
Come back again. Oh, well, see, what happened was no accountability. Then you tired, you took off work on your lunch break. Still nothing's happening with your child. You looking at Cume file, ain't shit in there.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my language, but it's just what it is. I'm tired of it.
Yep. And a lot of people, and I see Candace saying, the changing the culture of the school. And this is one thing that we're trying to teach parents and really work with parents to understand. And so as we look at everybody, like Sonya by herself is powerful, right? Candace, I can tell, like, you don't take no mess, but individually against a system, it's David versus Goliath, and it's been won, so you can do it. But a lot of times out of a million, it doesn't get done because the system is created to crush you. That's why we still look at the David and Goliath story, because it didn't happen a lot. He had to have the Lord on his side, not to get spiritual up in here. But in our school system, like, we need collective action. And so if we see a lot of parents talking about the same issue, like the uniform, right? Like IEPs, like, it's not for us to all attack it individually. Like, look at a lawsuit. It's called a class action lawsuit. When a lot of people have been wronged on one issue, they come together collectively. And at Nashville Propels, that's what we're doing differently. Like, it's about the collective action and not about one individual parent or community leader that wants to solve the problem.
And nobody can stop us together.
Right.
Look at the success we've had with our personalized learning, we started off with individualized learning. I really don't know what we call it. Together. We did that together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, they saw the collective parent leadership and the demand.
Mm-hmm.
We already got evidence that it works. We already got receipts. And so I guess our call to action is you joining the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Mitchell used to say, how long? He used to ask that question, how long?
Yeah.
How long you gonna fight by yourself? How long are you gonna be frustrated? How long will our children suffer? How much longer? How many more children have to die in the streets of Nashville?
Mm-hmm.
How many children go into the world of adulthood not knowing how to read when they had a right to learn, a right to be taught how to read? How long will we allow the system to work the way that it's working? Because it's working the way it was set up.
Mm-hmm.
How long will we have low expectations for the school? And how long will we allow them to have low expectations for our children? How long?
Mm-hmm.
How long?
Whew, yeah. So Dominique is on here. Dominique, cohort 8, working with a fellowship 8. Checking in. Miss Huff back at it again, talking about say it all in. And Candace coming back in saying that both of her kids have fine motor skills in their hands. So buttons on the school uniform and tying shoes are extremely hard. School uniforms need to go away. But again, as they hear from Candace, as they hear from Stephanie, as they hear from John, all individually, they take our individual feedback and they put it in the parking lot and say, we're going to come back to it. And by the time they come back to it, it's over.
Yeah. And you know, it's time out for going back to business as usual. And we talked today on our organizing call about wordplay.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Barry White the saying, practice what you preach?
Yeah, here I am, practice. Yeah.
Practice what you preach.
Telling me this and telling me that.
Come on now,
You know, you ain't got to get none but the word to jump in a song.
Yes. Telling me this and telling me that. Forget what you telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Show me.
Mm-hmm.
Show me. It's good. It is good for you to tell me. I love the beautiful words. But we're talking about human life.
Mm-hmm.
Lives. And you can't tell me nothing no more. Right. You can't whisper sweet nothings in my ear no more. I ain't going for it.
Yeah. Can I ask a question and see what parents tell? Because we said we would talk a little bit about the equity roadmap that the district previewed last night. And I think it's important. Like, I really want to get the feedback. I want to listen to what parents are saying so we can make sure that as they create this policy, like it's full of what parents know their kids need and what their kids want. I'm going to pull it up a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie told me to stay in my day job. I'm going to listen to you, Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, Mr. Robinson. But you know what? Look, Car. My grandbaby, he loves to hear his daddy sing.
Yeah, come on now.
I saw it for myself, y'all. Yeah. I saw it for myself. He loves it.
Mm-hmm. So it says the roadmap guiding questions, and you guys feel free to put these in the comments. It says, how can we increase transparency and engagement, resulting in better, sustainable outcomes and productive relationships? And how have you productive relationships or relationships with parents, the school administration, and teachers? Like, how can that be productive where we can understand how they came up with a policy around uniforms doing testing, when we can understand my kid come home with a 50 and I never heard anything about it, or teachers may have some input. And so the other one is, what do you understand about the history and people within our school community? So, you know, for me, it's looking at our landscape. Someone last night came to the board to talk about Overton and how rich in history Overton is, and how, you know, they're getting a lot of scholarships and people are going to Ivy League schools. But one thing that they forgot to address is that Overton has been there for years, since, you know, maybe the 40s or the 50s.
Yes.
But what happened, if you look at the corner of Overton on Franklin Road, where they put Franklin Road Academy in the 70s, instead of that community going to Overton, they just redirected their. I mean, it's so close. It's humiliating. Like, it is literally right next door to Overton. And so I think we got to talk about that when we talk about the history. What is currently taking place in our education system now? Sonia, what's currently, in your opinion, for an example, what is taking place in our current education system now?
We have a system filled with racism and bias. We have a system that is filled with low expectations. We have a system that is working the way that it was created. We have an inequitable and we have an equal system because everybody has the option to go to school. But we have equities due to race, where you live, because of redlining that has happened for many, many decades, and the racism that has been here since we set our foot on Plymouth Rock.
What do you say? We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
So those are the things, and you know, it's the ugly truth that people don't want to hear it, and you know, they say it's the race card, but see, the data, the Tennessee Ready is the receipt. Those, because even the Tennessee Ready is divided up by the disadvantaged or the struggling community, white, black, Asian, Native American. It tells the ugly truth. If you don't tell your story, they'll tell it for you. They'll say that we improved on Tennessee Ready.
Like they did the MAP test. They said we improved on the MAP test.
And I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to say this, and I don't care who want to hear it. There are more white students in school in person right now who are going to be taking their test. And I've heard more white parents say, well, you know, why are we doing that test? But they ain't telling you that they kids in school gonna take it. Don't play with me. Don't play me. Nothing else matters to me. Nothing else matters to me except all children receive an equitable education. Whether they're white, black, yellow, or green, all of them deserve the very best. And what we know now, that black and brown children are not getting it. So, like me, don't like me, I don't care.
Yeah, we got work to do, and the time is ticking. And right now, we got a lot of resources. And so, one of the other things that came up is I'm gonna just pull up this article. I know we won't stay on it long, but just how much money has been pumped into our school system. So every time I got a check, you know, what is my stimulus check? You know, it's $1,400. You know, our state government, our city government, our school system is getting a stimulus check too.
Boy, our country look like a strip club. They making it rain.
Making it rain.
John, you said, what about billions of dollars? You ain't never what?
I ain't never smelled it. Man, I don't know what it even smell like. Is it better than air freshener?
I don't even know what billions of dollars look like.
Yeah.
If you wrote it out, I might not even be able to tell you. I'd be able to say the number across. I was looking the other day about money that is being pumped into incarcerating people. It is equal to the same amount being put into school districts. We are spending billions of dollars incarcerating people right here in the state of Tennessee, and billions of dollars not educating children. Make that make sense to me.
What you put into criminal, your criminal department, I think, and it may be a little bit more, Sonia. Like,
want me to get the number for you? I screenshot that bad boy. Let me get that for you.
And while you're doing that, we'll look at this article here that says
the number is about the Tennessee Board of Parole, 10,000 Tennessee Department of Correction prisoners are housed in jails. There are 14 prisons in the state. 14 prisons to house state prisoners. There are 16,986 BOP hearings. That's like board of parole in the fiscal year of 2019 and 2020. Only 4,000 were granted parole. The budget for the Tennessee Department of Corrections and the Board of Parole for 19 to 20 budgets combined was $1,470,790,000. And thanks, Raheem Buford, for sharing that. That's a lot of damn money to incarcerate people. So I'm gonna tell you this. Let me bring it home before you read that. You better fight for your children now, or you'll be fighting for them on the other side.
So, and I'm sorry, and thank you for that, Mr. Buford. But read that number again, just so I can process. And what was this? Was this an annual budget, or what's been spent?
Yeah, this is the fiscal budget for 2019 and 2020.
So maybe it's even going up, right?
$1,129,479,200.
Can I tell you what the budget of the school system was for just last year?
Come on,
$927 million. So it's less. Wow.
Put more money into incarcerating people and keeping them in jail than we do in educated children and keeping them in school and putting them on a pathway to success. Governor Lee.
Yeah. Wow.
Get your priorities straight. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I mean, I'm a little I'm a little speechless. Because
I got plenty to say. Get your priorities straight. Educate our children.
Yeah. Wow. But this is why the movement is important. Because again, I always keep saying we got individual powerhouses who do things individually by themselves, and you get stuff done. Like, people listen to you, you have a following. But it's never enough to take down the system. Like, even as you look at like the Avengers, right? My son loves the Avengers. My son loves Star Wars. You had Luke Skywalker, who was a champion. He couldn't do it on his own, right? You got Captain America, who couldn't do it on his own. You had the Black Panther, who couldn't do it. But they are all Spider-Man. They had to come together as superheroes in order to take down a villain. And we got a lot of villains in our society, definitely in education. There's always the good guy and the bad guy.
And Gene, I agree with you. We need financial literacy, but we first we have a right to learn how to read so we can have financial literacy and in our homes and in our schools. The school system is not even doing what it foundationally, what it should do essentially, what it should critically be focusing on, and that is teaching children how to read. And it has nothing to do with their IQ, and it has nothing to do with their disability. 99% of all human beings can be taught how to read. First, we have to start there. Because if you can't read, you can't write, you can't manage no checkbook. Yeah. You can't read no contract. Yeah. You can't read a home loan application. How you gonna be financially literate?
So Jean was in our second fellowship. Laura was in our third. One day I posted about vocation. Everybody knows I care about vocation. And she was like, well, first we need to get people to read. And I was like, sheesh, like, you're right. Like, what? You can't put anything together. You can't put blocks together if you don't understand the math of it, the arithmetic. So, yeah, it was spot on.
Leader says they invest and bank on our children failing rather than their future. They make more off of our children being in jail. Say it. I done worked in there.
Mm-hmm.
Value our children more in jail, prison, pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yep. And Lita, I owe you a call too. Like Lita is in her community spreading the word and doing the good work. So I definitely owe you a call. So Kimberly says she started teaching her kid on her own, so they won't be in that position when they get older.
That is great, Kimberly. But did you know that educators are not even taught how to teach children how to read? And I understand, I love it, and I love your advocacy for your children, and I love your fight for your child. But me as a parent, I don't know how to teach my child how to read. There is a science to teaching how to read. We have got to put the expectations on the system. Why send them to school? Why take a vitamin when you can eat right in the first place? Well, everybody's so stuck on supplements and vitamins nowadays. Eat right, and why the hell you need a vitamin?
Mm-hmm.
Teach our children in school, and why do you need tutoring programs if you teach them in school?
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense to me, y'all. Make it make sense to me. Keep your weight down, and you prevent diabetes, so you don't have to take metformin and insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Eat right and exercise to lower the comorbidities or the potential of you getting those things. Do that right, and you probably won't get those things. But it's when we wait. See, now we've got generations of children. We've got seniors graduating. We've got high schoolers who are not taught how to read in elementary school, who are going out into this world to die financially or physically.
Mm-hmm.
They're going from schoolyards to prison yards.
Yeah. You know, we doing the fight for 15, right? And I think I listened to one rep say, yeah, we fighting for 15, but in 2021, we need more than 15 at this point. Like if you look at what's happening, and somebody corrected me, I think they said it's River North, 1.2 billion right here in Nashville. $15 ain't gonna make it in that community. $15 is not gonna make it in that community at all. You can't even, you can't even build a tent making $15 an hour with what they about to build in that community. And Laura says vocational schools are better investments after reading is in place. Yeah, like you got to know how to read in order to even get in the game. Like,
and this is the thing. This is what we have to emphasize, that reading has nothing to do with your IQ. Mm-hmm. You can be the most brilliant Einstein. The brain does not naturally understand reading. It's something that has to be strategically taught. Mm-hmm. There's certain milestones in reading that have to happen in order for you to be a proficient reader. I went to vocational school. Mm-hmm. I also went to college. I am a struggling reader. I should be in somebody's law practice right now. My confidence was low. Those things that happened that didn't happen for me in school that tried to limit my potential. It ain't. But not everybody understands that they deserve better. And so that's why we have this movement. We've got to change the mindset even of our people. Mm-hmm. John, one time you asked a question in our fellowship about what parents deserve. And I think you referenced to just life. And we literally had people that didn't even realize they deserve to live in a better place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We got a long way to go. And right now, when we look at the system, some people talk about return on investment. We are investing a lot into our education system. You know, Laura said it was, she thinks MNPS, she had to take her kid out of it. I met her at a PTA meeting. She was very involved. She didn't like how it was going and she left, and that was her own prerogative. But we have an opportunity. because a lot of times we talk about we don't have the money, and they still talk about it today. We still don't have enough money because those are one-time monies that last 2 or 3 years. But this is our chance. This is our chance to hold them accountable, to come together as superheroes, whether it's Star Wars, the Avengers, Captain Planet, Power Rangers, whatever you want to bring together.
Yeah, I think it's a sorry excuse.
Yep.
The elected official that uses that sorry excuse does not deserve to even oversee money. You don't even understand the value of money or what the power you have. So if that's the case, why do people even invest in the stock market and become rich?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got my little Robin Hood coins. I'm up like 300 or 400. Like,
yeah. So what I hear them saying is, I'm going to make excuses. We're going to get all this money. I'm going to make excuses. We're not going to worry about what outcomes these children reserve as a result of getting that investment.
mm-hmm.
All I hear is excuses when I hear that type of language. When I hear people say, instead of having a solution with the money, all they do is rebut and refute the possibilities with the money and make excuses. Well, we really don't have nothing. See, that's the kind of bullshit I say to my kids when I don't want to buy something, and I'm like, we don't have no. They be like, Mama, come on. Now I saw you buy them shoes, right? We cannot make excuses and educate children. And what I hear more elected officials and decision makers do is make more excuses than they have solutions. Like some of these people, I have never heard them say a solution. Never. We got to seize the opportunity in the life of the opportunity. Period.
Somebody told me, and I had to laugh. They were like, because we get on here and we talk about the school system, it's like, but like you just asked, it was like, but what solutions? And I was like, personalized learning plan, like literacy, like working towards a student dashboard, parent engagement. But they said not your work as a propel person, but what are you? And I was like, but that is my work. But that's what I believe in. Like,
so I call that person's bullshit. You're bullshit. But what that says is we as parents are not relevant. We're not enough. We done handed you a whole plan. First of all,
I was like, some people you would never get it. I was like, if you don't understand how I connect my work with Propel to my work on the board, you don't even get the process.
This is our life.
Right. Like you don't get it. Like, and I just said, yeah, okay. Cause it wasn't no sense of trying to convince somebody that I work in education, I work in policy with the board, and I can't connect those two.
So I hope that person is not in the school system, so because they should resign or they should be fired. So I hope they're listening. I think you should resign effectively immediately.
Yep.
And I think you should be fired immediately. Because what they just said, we are parent-led, we are parent organized. They what they're saying is you as a parent ain't worth a freaking quarter. And I say to them, if you're an elected official, if you work in the system, you ain't worth a quarter. Resign.
Yeah. But those are going to be the people who always stand as the Goliaths, but they're not strong.
They are system protectors.
Yeah. They're not strong at all, and it's a perception, a facade, or whatever you want to call it. That it's not reality. And somebody
ran for office. That sounds like a campaign slogan.
And when I look at the Laura's, when I look at the Kimberlys, the Candace, the Jeans, the Cheryls, the Litas, the Robert Taylors, even Miss Rain Moore, who jumped on here, who was asking good questions, seeking to understand. they don't realize how important this stuff is to have dialogue and then put it into action. So we're gonna keep the train moving. And as we wrap up, what are your last words, Sonia, as we get ready to middle of the week, getting ready for next week, getting ready for TN Ready, getting ready for Promising Scholars? We posted the link in the chat. What are some of your last words?
So to piggyback off what you just said, one last word about this. If I got to bring out a solution, I want your paycheck. I want to drive your car and I want to live in your house. We got solutions. But are you going to listen? Are you going to take our solutions and are you going to implement them? Or are you going to still look at us with that snide look as if we're not worth a quarter? That's my question to that person. And that's my solution. Quit, resign. Okay. So Tennessee Ready. Sign your children up. Today, I'm gonna call some of y'all just off the cuff. You sign your child up. You're gonna get a call from me. You're gonna see that 1916 come up in your call log. You sign your children up for Tennessee Ready. I want to emphasize the importance of that. Those results, that data, that metrics lets us know who to hold accountable and what to hold them accountable for. And when we don't have that, the system is strategically wanting to get rid of that. Nobody wants to be accountable for educating your children. Everybody wants to say, it wasn't me. Everybody wants to say, it's not my problem. And that data, those test scores allow us to see what is happening in the classroom, whether it was virtual or whether it was in person. It's our evidence to who's committed a crime and who hasn't. Again, Tennessee Ready scores are the evidence to those who have committed the crime and those who have not. And the crime is not providing a quality education for our children. COVID-19 is no longer an excuse. We cannot make excuses and educate children at the same time. Get it done. They got these 6-figure salaries. Get it done. Because if I had it, I'd get it done. I promise you. You wouldn't get no excuse. Your children would be educated. Secondly, sign your children up for the summer program. Sign them up. The link is in the comment. Sign them up. We need to recover our children from learning loss. We need to go into the fall knowing where our children are. It is not enough for you to say that my child is behind. We need to know exactly what they're behind in. We need to make sure that not only do we address the past learning loss, but also that they don't lose anything going further. I cannot impress upon you. There are millions of dollars being forked out. There are teachers who are going to get bonuses for $7,000 with 3 children in the classroom if you don't get your children in there. There are children that would normally have to stay at home because their parents go to work. Send them to summer programs, summer learning. They have transportation and food, and your children are going to get the enrichment and the additional help that they need. This is for kindergarten through 12th grade. There's also opportunity for the high schoolers to recover their credits. They can also have hours to where they can still go to work. Get it done. If you need help, reach out to us. Now, the summer program, the signups, I believe, in May the 5th. It starts June the 7th and goes through July the 2nd. Get your children signed up. Make this a priority. The other thing is, get it done. Get it done. Take this information we're getting and giving to you, and let's develop your power. Follow us on our social media at Nashville Propel on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Go to our website, nashvillepropel.org, and join the movement. See you next week.